Hi, welcome back to Cigar Store Confessions. My name is Colin, and I'm joined once again by the legendary Wayne Edkin.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. There's our one for the night. We can't say absolutely ever again. Every time we say absolutely, you have to take a shot. Tonight only.
Do we have to put a disclaimer now for age because we started talking about shots?
Oh, maybe.
Tobacco.
Oh,
Yeah.
tobacco. So I guess it's
Fair
sorry.
enough. I mean, you don't have to be 21 to watch a podcast about tobacco, I don't think. I don't.
I hope not.
That's why I'd make a terrible lawyer. Well, tonight we are going to talk about boutique brand cigars. Wayne, how would you define a boutique brand?
I consider a boutique brand cigar to be a small business. Somebody that's not in every store that you go to. You kind of have to search for them a little bit. Um, they don't have 50 different facings in the humidor. But in my opinion, they are some of the best cigars.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy boutique cigars a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with those smaller companies, those owners have more freedom, it seems like, to play around with the blends, play around with the packaging, you know, like El Mago over here. Everything he makes is in a tubo, which is just cool. I wish everybody would do that. Um, you have Blackbird as well. Very artistic packaging, very bright, colorful. Um, Same with all of these present, really. Very unique packaging. You can really see that the owners had that creative freedom in designing the boxes.
I agree. And I think sometimes with the larger companies, they get kind of, they're focused on certain things. And with the boutique cigars, they do have that freedom to be creative and try new things that a larger company might not try,
Mm-hmm.
which gives us a lot of variety and a lot of nice new fun things to smoke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's been my experience too that there's less ego with these smaller guys too. They're not, you know, there's some pomp and circumstance, but they're not so big that the pomp outweighs the quality concern for the cigars
Right.
or the flavor profile.
It's not style over substance.
Exactly.
They're hungry and they know that they're small and they know that a consumer comes into a cigar shop. They go into the humidor and they know that they've got a very short window of opportunity to impress that consumer.
Mm-hmm.
They know that you may try one or two of a boutique cigar, whereas you would go back and say, well, I smoked that brand and I didn't like it very much, but they've got this one and this one and this one. And you have to be focused. You can't put out anything that's not good.
Mm-hmm. Because you're really selling your name at that point.
Right. You need for every experience that a cigar consumer has to be positive, because it only takes a couple negative comments on the internet to turn people off from your product.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're very focused on getting that buy-in from that customer to get somebody who'll come back and buy more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the relationship tends to be much more personal as well. Because a lot of these guys, they don't have the large apparatus that can support sending a rep on the road, or sometimes they go through brokers, but even then, usually the company owner is the first one through the door and saying, "Hey, I'm so and so with this company, and these are the cigars that I make with my partner in Esteli," or whatever it might be. It's very personal for that reason. And those relationships in the early days with companies are super important to brick and mortar retailers like Churchill's here because it adds to that, how should I put it, the camaraderie, the sense of family in this industry. You know, it's not us buying from, not to say a faceless organization, but a more personal, you know, they feel like a friend after
Right.
a while.
Right. And you feel like with any business, if a vendor comes to you and they send a sales rep, it's one thing. If the owner of that company comes to you personally to try to get your business, it's a totally different experience and a
Mm-hmm.
totally different feel that the business owner feels like they're worth something to that company.
100%. 100%. Like Blackbird, for instance, we brought Blackbird in uh, mainly because Jonas Santana, the owner, came and saw us personally and sat down with us for a long stretch of time. I think he was here for about 4 hours talking about the blends, you know, giving us samples. The muses took him out to lunch, and it built up that rapport, you know, built up the trust in the company because the face of the company was there.
Mhm.
Plus, you know, he had very, very impressive blends to show off.
Right.
I picked out the Unkind in particular because when I was smoking that the day that he was visiting us, I just kept going, wow,
Mm-hmm.
just
Yeah,
over and over, just wow, this is so good.
it really is a good cigar.
Mm-hmm.
And many of the blends from Blackbird are very good.
Mm-hmm.
I, I don't have many complaints.
Me neither. So, of these five lovely boxes, Wayne, what have you decided to smoke?
I've decided to smoke the El Mago Renegade. It is a um, it is a San Andreas wrapper with a Habano binder and a Nicaraguan filler. It's a box press Toro, and it looks fantastic. I love the packaging, the banding. It's got a really nice band. It's got a picture of some people on the front of it, which is nice. It's not just a generic band. It's got something personal to the company.
Mm-hmm.
And the San Andreas wrapper is one of my favorites. So uh, I thought I would give this one a try.
All right. The two people pictured, speaking of a personal
Yeah.
touch, that's actually the founder, Nick. Those are his grandparents,
Oh,
who
very
the
good.
company is actually named after. Mago is an abbreviation of both of their first names put together, which is really cool.
Yes,
So,
it's very cool. So I'm looking forward to it.
mhm. I picked the Matilda Oscura. Uh, it's a delicious cigar at a great price point. It also has a San Andreas wrapper, which, you know, I love San Andreas. This cigar is so interesting to me because it's like they picked all of my favorite tobaccos and put it into one stick. So it has a San Andreas wrapper. The binder is a Sumatran seed grown in Ecuador. And the filler components are Dominican, Pennsylvanian, and Nicaraguan. So it's all over the place. It's all the tobaccos I like. But it's like that joke, if you've ever seen Parks and Rec, when Ron Swanson is talking about the bacon wrapped shrimp, he's like, it's my first favorite food wrapped around my third favorite food. It's exactly the same with this cigar. It's my first favorite leaf wrapped around my third favorite leaf, wrapped around my fourth and fifth favorite leaf. So,
Can't go wrong with that.
yeah, yeah. So, it smells so good. Shout out to Enrique Sejas. I hope you're doing well. Matilda is actually the oldest Dominican company in terms of the name itself. Very, very, very old company name. And Enrique's father brought it back. So his father, who unfortunately passed away recently, um, he was a very well-respected master blender in the industry. He was actually responsible for reblending a lot of the Monte Cristo and H. Upmann and Romeo and Julieta blends back when Altadis got bought out in the last, I'm not sure exactly how long ago, maybe 20, 30 years ago, something like that. We get a fact check on that. But Enrique comes from a very well respected family in that sense. He's a very good guy. And he's another one of those company owners that's out on the road as a road warrior. Delicious.
Yes,
Right off the bat.
right off the bat.
Is
That's a
this
really nice thing too. I've come to be a little bit um, dubious of the first quarter inch of most cigars. And I'm not sure what that is. I'm not sure if it's the exposed foot, the oxidization, or but a lot of times I'll light up a cigar and that first quarter inch is I'm I don't have a lot of expectation for the first quarter inch. I'll give it a lot of grace in that period because I know that it needs to warm up.
Mhm.
But this one is very nice right off the bat.
A lot of what Nick makes is like that. The first time I smoked one of his was when we brought him in around summer of last year, and I smoked the Pepe, which I don't remember the blending components on that, but it was the same thing. Like right out of the gate, it was just whoa.
Yeah, it's very good. Is that the purple one?
The purple,
The purple
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Yeah. The purple box is probably my favorite.
Hmm. Well, purple tubo white box.
Yes,
Yeah,
purple tubo. Sorry.
yeah, yeah. That Pepe I would put right up there with the Padron 1926 any day.
Well, that's pretty good endorsement.
I know. I almost hate to say it because I want to sell more Padrones, but here we are. That's something that Gary, the owner of the store, he'll always bring up once in a while. Um, is that when you're bringing in a new company, when you're ordering sticks, whatever it might be, there's what you like to smoke, and there's what will sell. Sometimes there's overlap, sometimes not so
Right.
much. It's not always about buying what you like.
Right.
If that were the case, it would exclusively be, San Andreas Maduros or something
Right.
like
There
that.
wouldn't be a lot of Connecticut's in the humidor,
Not a
but
lot of
that's just
Connecticut's.
me.
Yeah,
I think we talked about that the last time.
we did. Broken record.
I almost said the A word and make people drink. But
Mm, yeah, we're not saying the A word tonight. But if we do, take a shot. I don't know how we got into that habit.
Looks like 2002 from that big reblending when Altadis SA acquired the controlling shares of Habanos SA.
Okay, so it was 2002. So I was pretty close.
Well, that would be 23 years ago. So you were right in there.
Yeah. So is this your first time smoking a Renegade?
This is my first time smoking the Renegade. Yeah,
Hmm.
I I found that there are a lot of cigars out there. There are a lot. There are a lot, and trying to make it through all of them is tough
Hmm.
and a little bit expensive.
Just a little,
Just a little bit.
even with an employee discount.
So yeah, this is my first Renegade, but it started off strong. I like it.
I think it's the strongest cigar he makes. That's what I've been told, anyway. Um, Maybe the Disco would be a runner-up to that, which actually you smoked that one earlier today
Yeah,
too.
and I don't. I think this one is a little step up from that. Now the Disco was also uh,
60
larger
ring
ring
gauge,
gauge,
yeah.
60 ring gauge
Hmm.
round, but um, so it would be a little bit different. But
Hmm.
this one is really nice, and I enjoy. If I'm going to smoke bigger ring gauge cigars, I do enjoy the box press.
Hmm. Yeah.
The mouthfeel for me is a little bit better when it's not quite so big. A 60 ring gauge round is at the outside of what I enjoy.
Hmm.
So, but there are some like the Flathead 660
Yeah.
by CAO.
Hmm.
It's a box press. So box press 60 works really well. I like that.
Hmm. Yeah, I like that Eroa First 20 Maduro. Same thing, 60 ring gauge box press. It comes in other sizes too, but when I smoke one, that's the size I pick. But if it weren't a box press, I probably wouldn't pick it out.
Probably not. Not very often
Yeah.
anyway.
Hmm.
Unless I just want to look like I'm in the mafia or something like that. Long cigars.
Now, you and I have smoked a larger cigar than that, though. The Alec Bradley Chunk Maduro. That was a 80 ring gauge
80
by
ring
four
gauge by
inches.
4 inches. Yeah. That it was a tasty
It
cigar.
was.
It had a very good flavor profile.
Hmm.
But for me, it was like trying to smoke a toilet paper tube. You know, it's just you got. It's hard to get good draw
Hmm.
because it's such a huge
Yeah.
ring gauge.
It's almost like there's too much of a draw,
Too much draw.
way too much air going through.
Now I think that in hindsight, I probably should have punched it instead of straight cut it.
Mm.
That would have probably narrowed that down some. But
Hmm.
it just was so big that it's like, what do you do with it?
Right.
80 ring gauge cigar is, yeah, that's probably the largest ring gauge I've ever smoked is an 80. And I wouldn't do it very often.
No, me neither. It was more of a dare. We had an Alec Bradley event that day, and it was like, why don't we all smoke this ridiculous cigar?
And we
See if
did.
we can sell a few.
And most people liked it that
Yeah,
smoked it.
yeah. It was really well constructed too. I mean, it was only 4 inches, but even still, it went at least 2.5 inches on the ash before it finally fell with
Right.
mine.
Yeah,
So,
mine too. It was a very nice construction. It burned really well,
hmm.
which was what I was worried about at first. First of all, you know, toasting and lighting a cigar that big, and as most people are aware, the burn on your cigar is heavily impacted by the way you light it. If you don't get it lit all the way around and then well in the middle, you can have burn issues, canoeing and just needing to touch it up. But it lit and burned really well considering the size.
Hmm. Yep. We definitely weren't using single flames to light that puppy, though.
No, no, that would have taken a while.
Yep. So, a boutique brand, the owners have more freedom. They can spend a little bit more time with their blends, but There are some frustrating aspects to working with a boutique blend as well. I'll bring up LFD, for instance. They make some really great cigars.
Yes.
Lito Gomez is regarded as an artist when it comes to his blending process, and he makes some killer cigars.
I love the LFD Double Hero.
Oh yeah,
The Double Hero is a really
Mhm.
good smoke.
Double Claro too.
The,
That's the only Candela that I really like. It's because it doesn't really taste like a Candela
right.
normally
It
does.
doesn't taste like grass.
Hmm.
It's very nice, very flavorful.
Hmm. And the Andalusian Bowl, of course, that's their flagship, unobtainium cigar. Everybody wants it.
Which is where I'm guessing you're going with the frustrations of boutique cigars,
Yes.
is when they do attain popularity, then we get a lot of, yeah, I'm sorry, we don't have any of that. It's on back order,
Hmm.
um, which is a great problem for them to have,
But not for us.
but not for us. No, we don't. You don't ever want to tell somebody you don't have what they're looking for,
Hmm.
obviously. People come in and they ask for things, and sometimes you you just say, well, yeah, nobody has that. The Amazon basin, for example.
Right.
People will come in looking for that and they say, well, we had that for about a day and a half. And,
And one guy bought all
and
the
one guy bought
boxes.
all of them. Um, but I think that I've had my memory, actually, I've been talking about it long enough to remember. I believe that the definition of a boutique cigar is a company that makes less than 1 million sticks per year.
Ah,
And
okay.
we could fact check that too if when our fact checker gets
Hmm.
back.
That would make sense.
That's how it is defined on Google.
It
Okay,
is, okay, it's
so
defined as such.
yeah, that's how it is defined. We checked it.
Hmm.
A company that makes less than 1 million sticks per year is considered a boutique brand.
So some of these might not fit that definition then, I'm guessing. I'd have to do the research on which ones exactly make under 1 million cigars.
Right. We may be off a little bit. We apologize in advance, but I think there are a lot more boutique brand cigars out there than there are uh, main industry cigars.
Hmm.
Uh,
I would almost, this is my definition, I would classify a boutique brand as smaller operation, smaller production. So maybe that means under 1 million made a year. Maybe that means just over. Maybe that might mean 2 million a year. But I think more importantly is one that isn't publicly traded, one that's still family owned, even if they're larger. Again, my opinion. I would still kind of consider that a boutique, you know?
right.
So all the brands that are owned by General Cigar Company, not boutique. Um, I think Oliva is also maybe not publicly traded, but they have shareholders.
And they're definitely a large operation.
Yes, yes. I do know that LFD makes 1 million cigars a year. And I've been told that Lido wants to keep it at that number for the sake of production consistency, quality, more than anything else. Which, cool. But man, when we're out of stuff for long
For
stretches of
long
time,
stretches of time. Yeah, it makes it very difficult because, if you don't have one of those unobtainium cigars, uh, if you're ordering from Oliva, Drew Estate, Rocky Patel, the places like that, you don't typically have I'm sorry, we're out of that.
hmm.
Uh, so, I agree with you. We may be off a little bit, but
Yeah. Yeah, because Drew Estate isn't a boutique. They're owned by Swisher now. Um, Rocky, is still family owned, as far as I know, but they're huge.
Right? They are huge, but isn't Acid like one of the number one selling cigars
Oh,
brands in the
I'm
world?
sure.
So
I'm
if they're the
sure.
number one selling cigar brand in the world, then they're definitely out of the 1 million cigars category
Right.
by a long ways.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm. We should have done more research qualifying the definition.
well, if any of these cigars are over 1 million sticks a year, we apologize. We still like them.
Right. We're sorry you make such good sticks and they're readily available.
1 million is a lot. See, for example, who had the fire?
AJ.
AJ Fernandez had a fire not too long ago, and it was horrible. And our our hearts go out to them. Um, but it it said in the news article that they lost millions of finished cigars, with the millions like plural. Um, that's a huge loss. But if they lost that many, clearly they make
Mm-hmm.
a lot more.
Right. Well, 1 million sounds like a lot. And that is a very large number.
If you had to smoke them, it'd be a lot.
Yes, but it's not just you smoking them. It's mostly the United States smoking them because we're the largest cigar consumers per capita compared to anywhere else in the world. But you spread 1 million across the population of the U.S. and
It's 330 million ish
yeah,
if you look at adults
mm-hmm,
and the adult cigar smoking community. That's still, I mean, you're it takes a while to, but if you figure there are 50 million adult males in the United States, 1 million cigars is
yeah,
it's easier to sell.
it's a drop in the bucket. So Lido, please up your production.
So how's your cigar? I mean, you've smoked it before, obviously, and you know what it's like, but
It's delicious. It's really delicious. It's like it's it's all of my favorite tobaccos, almost all of my favorite tobaccos in one stick. You know, thoroughly enjoyable. And it's also the strongest cigar that Matilda makes. So we're just gluttons for punishment, I
right?
guess.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I really like the double Lajero,
Mm-hmm.
the Partagas Black, the Imami Komodo.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all really bold, strong cigars,
Butt kickers.
but that's what I like because I'm a glutton for punishment.
Yeah.
This one is has developed very nicely in the first third. It's just got a mild pepper on the retrohale. Um, that's I'm sure, from the Nicaraguan filler.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's kind of got a toast and baking spice is
Ooh.
picking up. So it's really a nice, uh, a nice flavor.
Mm-hmm. The thing I like a lot about this Oscura is that it hits like every part of my palate. It has black pepper notes in it, which, you feel that more on the tongue. But then there's a really nice white pepper from that Sumatran leaf that you get in the retrohale.
Mm.
Smooth, chocolatey notes that come through as well. Not a lot of coffee, not with this one anyway, but yeah, very tasty. Now, the hope with every boutique brand, which in a way, every cigar company starts out as a boutique because they have to start small, is that eventually they get to that point where they're a large company, and they're making, I don't know, 5 to 10 million sticks a year, that sort of thing. But the downside is sometimes, not all the time, when a company gets big enough and maybe the company owner just wants to retire or whatever, or they pass it down to their kid, but then their kid doesn't want it, is eventually they do get bought out by somebody larger. STG. But sometimes, not all the time, when that happens, the love isn't there anymore. The care for it isn't there anymore. And the consistency might go down while the price goes up. So,
Yeah.
again, Alec Bradley. Love Alec Bradley. That was one of my early introductions into cigar smoking. They were always in my rotation. But, it's pretty frustrating that on average their cigars have gone up by like $1.50 to $2 a piece. And I don't know if the blends have changed too much. I mean, blends change from year to year because the tobacco crop changes year to year. But it seems like, you know, the cigars, once they get popular, they almost get worse in one way or another.
Well, I think that's similar to a lot of things. That if when the demand gets higher, there's often you have to produce more, and when you have to produce more, you can't take as much time with each one. So, if you're producing 1 million sticks, and then the demand goes up, and you have to go to 2 million sticks, the infrastructure that's required to double your production, you got to hire more people, and you've got to get people in that are new,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes time to get good at rolling cigars, and and I think just in that one aspect of the operation, when you go from being able to fulfill all your orders to being back ordered and you've got to hurry up and fill them, uh, there's some of the complaints I've heard about cigars from Cuba. Um, the demand is so high that they rush them. They don't age them as well because they're hurrying up to get them done, to get them rolled and get them out.
Mm-hmm.
And, you lose quality when you're doing
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. We experienced that firsthand with oh goodness. This was years ago at the old shop. Viaje. Viaje was a boutique brand. They're still around, as far as I know. But several of the guys at the old shop, including the employees, really liked their stuff. But the problem was exactly that. They had to rush their production so much that with every order, they literally said, hey, this will be arriving at your shop at this date, but don't put it out on the shelf until like 2, 3 months from now because it's still aging. And sure enough, when cigars are fermenting, they put off a smell of ammonia because they're fermenting. We would open up those boxes and be like, whoa.
like smelling salts, yeah.
Yeah. Smelling salts, cat urine. Not something you want to
No,
experience with a fresh box of cigars.
no, and ammonia isn't a flavor that you want to have listed in your flavor profile.
No, no, not at all. Or table salt. Pro tip. When you're smoking a cigar and the end tastes salty when you lick it, That means whoever was rolling it was sweating a lot that day. So, little pro tip for you.
That's probably one I didn't really need to know.
Well, there you go. Something to chew on.
So have you smoked anything new this week?
This week I did actually. I PCA wasn't too long ago. I didn't get to go this year, but I was brought back a few samples. Because PCA, everybody is always pushing their new product, and I was lucky enough to receive a few of the new Espinosa samples. One in particular was the Independence Day Warhead, which was their new promo item. It's a oval box press, about a Toro size, so about a 54, 56 ring gauge, something like that. 6 inches, I believe it was. Delicious. It looks dark and mean, but it was smooth, dark chocolate, a little bit of a black pepper in there. Very consistent all the way through. That's the newest thing that I've smoked this week, and it was thoroughly enjoyable. I'm really looking forward to having those out on the shelf. We're actually going to be selling them at our festival coming up. So they retail about,
Yep.
yeah, I can't really say that number, can I? Very reasonable price point for the boxes. So, and as far as I know, they're going to be a one and done thing. So get them where you can, when you can. Mm-hmm.
Well, my new cigar this week was, I'm going to have to smoke another one at least, or 2 or 3 or 6, but
1 million.
1 million was the Aging Room La Boheme.
Oh, yeah.
It was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was just from light to I couldn't hold it anymore. I was burning my fingers. It was a really, really good cigar.
Nice.
It's nice, dark Maduro. Um, I don't remember what the components were, but it is fantastic.
Very nice.
Yes.
Bit of a fantastic price tag, too.
Yes, it does.
But worth it.
But we've talked about this a little bit before, and it doesn't hurt to talk about it. A lot of times the price tag doesn't meet your expectations. You pick up a $40 stick and it, and you smoke it and you're like, I would have rather had a couple of 15s, but this one was worth every penny.
Very nice.
And in my opinion, of course, everybody's different, but I've always been a fan of Aging Room.
Mm-hmm.
The Aging Room Sonata, the Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. They're really, really good, solid cigars. And this one did not disappoint.
Very nice. I'm looking forward to smoking one if you don't smoke them all.
Well, there's still some in there.
For now.
For now. Speaking of our event,
Mm-hmm.
you should tell people about it in case they don't know.
Well, in case you haven't heard, May 17th of this year, which is a Saturday, we have our second annual multi-vendor event. We've expanded it a little bit. We've added one new vendor, Imami Cigar Company, and we swapped one vendor. So Blackbird is going to be there as well. It runs from noon to 5 for general admission, VIPs can come in at 11 a.m. and VIPs also get a pre-party the night before. General admission, $100. You get a goodie bag of cigars. You get some swag items. You get a meal ticket that you can cash in with either Flavor Wagon or City's Edge Barbecue. You get 2 drink tickets that you can cash in with Pop and Squeeze if you want lemonade, and Blind Tiger if you want beer. VIP, you get double all that. It's also double the price point. And both ticket tiers get to bring a guest. Now, one clarifying point with the pre-party the night before, that is just for the VIPs. Your guest can come the day of, but the pre-party is just for the VIP ticket buyer. So,
Last year's event was amazing.
yes, it was. It was a lot of fun.
It exceeded expectations, and everybody that was there really, really enjoyed it.
Mhm.
So.
We were so busy that day too. I was, walking around the whole festival grounds, as it were, checking in on things, putting out fires, not literally, but, putting out fires. And at one point, I walk in here and Larry and John are behind the counter and they have a line going out the door. And I just walk over to Larry and I'm like, hey, would you mind? And I don't know, I just asking him to do something. And he was just like, what? Just discombobulated. So everybody but staff had a good time. Not really. We had a good time too. We were just doing all the work. But yeah, festival is coming up very soon. We're less than a month out. Still have a lot of tickets available. So
Can you name all the vendors off the top of your head?
Drew Estates, Rocky, Ashton, Altadis, Espinosa, Blackbird, Imami, and La Aurora.
Right now, we've got a couple of really good raffle opportunities going on from now until the event.
Mm-hmm.
La Aurora cigars. For every $10 you buy in La Aurora cigars, you get a ticket to win a 98-inch flat screen TV.
It's huge.
It's huge. It's 7 feet wide by 4 feet tall, and it's big.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big TV. And if you don't have room for a 100-inch TV, Imami Cigars is doing a special. For every $10 in Imami Cigars you buy, you get a ticket for a drawing for a $1,000 prepaid Visa card. So,
wow.
From now until the 17th of May is a good time to come in and buy La Aurora and Imami Cigars, along with everything else.
So if you go for the Imami one and you win, and you change your mind on the TV, you can buy a big TV with that gift card.
You could buy a TV that's not 100 inches that might fit in your living room. Yeah.
Why not? Or you could buy even more Imami cigars with that $1,000 gift card.
Absolutely.
Give us more money.
Give us all of it.
Oh. So if you ever wanted to start your own cigar company, have you ever given any thought to this?
No.
Well,
but I should, shouldn't I?
We're going to think about it.
All right.
Right now.
If I was going to start my own cigar company, what? There has to be more to a question than that.
Okay.
That's too broad.
Where would you have your cigars manufactured?
Nicaragua.
Nicaragua. I had a feeling you were going to say that.
It's one of my favorites. So, and I mean, I think that my second choice would be the Dominican Republic.
Mm-hmm.
If I had enough money to start a cigar company, I could do it wherever I wanted. It would be one of those two places, probably.
Mm-hmm.
How about you?
I would probably go with Nicaragua as well. I think I would source a lot of my tobacco from Mexico,
Yeah.
from the San Andreas Valley.
Oh, yeah. Well, that wasn't what you asked.
No, no,
You didn't
I
ask me
just,
where I would get my tobacco from. You said, where would I start my factory?
fair
I
enough.
mean,
Fair enough.
but I would, but and I think that Nicaraguan filler, I just don't think you can go wrong. I
Yeah.
think that
Hmm.
you've got three different regions of Nicaragua to choose from. Where the main growing regions in Nicaragua, and I just think it makes a fantastic filler.
Hmm.
Um, I would I would source a lot of my tobacco from Mexico as well.
Hmm.
I think that the Mexican San Andreas wrapper is fantastic.
For sure.
It's definitely solid, good. I really enjoy it.
Hmm.
So,
What would you call it?
well,
Putting you on the spot here.
I have I have some issues with cigar names, a few, um, and my biggest problem with starting a cigar company is my name is not a cigar name. My name's not Arturo Fuente or, AJ Fernandez.
Hmm.
Those are good cigar names. And there's a boutique cigar that I like. We don't sell it here, but that I really enjoy a lot of their stuff, and it's Roma Craft.
Hmm.
The Roma Craft Neanderthal that's one that will knock you on your butt if you're not
Hmm.
careful. Um, but and they got the name Roma. It's the first two letters of the last names of the two founders, and I can understand why they didn't use their first names, um, because it's Tim and Skip. And
Shout out to Tim and Skip.
shout out to Tim and Skip. Love your cigars. Um, but see, that's where I would have a problem. I can't use my name. I don't have a family name that's great. My last name is Edkin. It's not a cigar name. It's an English name. It's not. I mean, it just doesn't. I mean, Davidoff isn't a cigar name either, but it sounds good.
Yeah.
It's got gravitas. It
Hmm.
it sounds like a good name. Uh, Drew Estate, good name. But that would be tough. A cigar company name would be tough
Hmm.
because if you used like my first initial of my first name and the two, it's weed. We W or wed. It's not gonna do anything for you there.
Weed Cigar
Weed
Company.
cigar company. I don't think that would work.
It would work if you were selling
If I was selling
weed.
blunts, it would work, but I'm not. I mean, that's not my goal. I mean, no offense to those who enjoy that.
Sure, yeah.
I'm not judging. Just that's not the thing that I would want to.
Hmm.
I mean, Amami. Amami's a great name for a cigar company.
Hmm.
He has a great name for a cigar company.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know.
it's
I don't know.
tricky.
That would take a while to figure out, and it would have to be something good because you want it to be memorable and you want it to sound like a cigar. Um, Blackbird did a good job. Blackbird
Yeah.
cigars is good, and then it gives them something to go with. But it also kind of limits a little bit, um, if all of your cigars have to be named after blackbirds. There aren't that many.
Which, incidentally, he ran into a problem with this one in particular. He wanted to call it the Raven, but the Raven, or Raven, is a trademarked name. So the story goes that he got into this heated legal battle with the guy who owned that trademark or whatever, and he was very unkind to him. So he decided to name the cigar the Unkind,
Right.
which incidentally What's a flock of ravens called?
An unkindness.
Yeah.
So it worked out all right.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's got other cigars that he's come out with that aren't black.
Yes.
The cactus wren, the
Mm-hmm.
finch, the
Meadowlark.
meadowlark,
Brand new blend, by the way.
and he got the idea for the meadowlark when he was here doing an event, and we told him he should name one after the Kansas state bird, and he thought that was a good idea,
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah, the blackbird meadowlark, but it's not a blackbird, but it's bird.
Right. It's a yellow bird, I think.
It's got yellow on it.
Hmm.
It's not all yellow.
Shows what I know about our state bird.
So what would you name your cigar company, Colin?
Well, again, I don't have a very cigar-y name. Colin Wright. I mean, that doesn't have a good rhythm to it. CW though. CW cigar. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I can't do that either because then it would be
We
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 cigars.
cigar.
We cigar. And that doesn't sound good either because then you might end up with that whole ammonia thing.
Oh yeah, we. Oh. I could go with Hunter. That's my middle name. Hunter Cigars. That's not bad.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
My middle name wouldn't work either.
What's your middle name?
Eugene.
Eugene. You're like the most English named guy I
Right.
know.
There is nothing there.
Wayne Eugene Edkin.
The second.
The second. Esquire?
No Esquire. But that would be what I would be if I was in England. I would have to figure out how to make that my name. I don't know. That would be tough. The naming would be the hardest part, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Some guys kind of riff off of more popular names. Like, sometimes you'll see a company throw Cuba in there somewhere,
Right.
Cuban style or whatever.
La Aroma de Cuba.
Right, yeah. Yeah, the aroma of Cuba.
The smell of Cuba.
I wonder what Cuba actually smells like.
Well,
Tobacco and misery, maybe.
no. You're going to offend Cubans now.
Shout out. I don't think it would offend them. I think they just know.
Right.
Why do you think they're all jumping ship and coming here or going to Nicaragua? The writing's on the wall. Has been for a while.
But I am impressed with most with the creativity of the company names and the cigar names. I know that takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work to come up with things that sound good, that will hold people's attention, and things that people will remember.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's one of the most important parts. You need it to be memorable. How many times have you had people come into the humidor and say, I smoked this cigar and it was really good. Well, what was it called? I don't remember.
I don't know. It had like a red label on it.
It had a red label. It had a picture on it, and it was a red label.
Right.
Having something that is memorable and will stand out in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that with people that come in and say they want Blackbird cigars. They remember them.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the reason they remember them is because the label is so distinctive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good. It really is good. The other one that comes to mind for a really good boutique cigar that has a good name is Battleground.
Mm-hmm.
Battleground Cigars is a very good, memorable name.
And each label is very memorable.
And each label is very memorable, and they're all named after Civil War generals.
Hmm.
And so, you get, it's important. It's important to have things that will get into people's head.
Hmm. Yeah, for good or ill. I mean, speaking of imami, everybody who comes into the humidor says, "You have any of those Miamis?"
Miami's, yeah.
They know what they're looking for, but it's like they're remembering it incorrectly. Or Oliva, everyone says Olivia.
Olivia, yeah.
You know?
But you know what they mean.
Yeah,
If they say they want Olivia cigars, you know what they're talking about.
right.
I've stopped correcting them.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
It is exhausting.
Dyslexia. There's a there's a brand name, Dyslexia Cigar Company, or Dyslexic Cigars. We could name them, whatever we want to name them, but we'll just jumble all the letters.
Jumble up the words. I
Yeah.
heard a song one time. It was really funny, and it was called "Song Dyslexia."
I saw a headline in the newspaper once that said dyslexia for cure found.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
That's wrong. It's just wrong. Did you hear about the dyslexic agnostic insomniac? He stayed awake all night wondering if there was a dog.
Oh, man. Woof.
I don't mean to offend anyone. If dyslexia is a serious problem, and we're not making fun of it.
No.
We're not.
All the dyslexics are going to untie against you.
Shout out to dyslexia. If you can't make a joke about it, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know where I was going with
I
that.
don't either, but it failed.
It failed miserably. Mm.
So you're going to have a cigar company in Nicaragua. You're going to get some tobacco from Mexico
Hmm.
and Sumatra and
Definitely Sumatra.
some what else? What else are we doing? We got
Ecuador. If I would make a Connecticut, I would pick an Ecuadorian Connecticut. It's a very flavorful Connecticut leaf. Even though the Dutch, you know, made that variety to compete with the United States, I won't hold it against them. It was a good gamble. A lot of Connecticut's nowadays use an Ecuadorian leaf because it's a little bit more flavorful. It's strong structurally. Um, but I mean, also just from Nicaragua, there's plenty of tobacco to be picked from Nicaragua.
absolutely.
And you could grow, take a shot, you could grow a lot of these varieties in Nicaragua. Like the McAuliffe Red Label here has Mexican seed grown in Nicaragua. Their whole new colors series, the blue, the black, the red, the purple, which is brand new, those are all Mexican varietals grown in other places, which is really neat. It's so fun to see, you know, the science, the magic of that. You can take a seed from one location and grow it in another location. That new soil, that new environment will influence the flavor in different ways. The Tabernacle Havana seed is a seed from Havana, Cuba, grown in the Connecticut River Valley. That's just cool. I think that's just really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Take a
a drink.
shot.
I'm trying to help you drinkers out there because we've been going for a while now, and I know you're sitting there saying, "I need a drink." So I'm just
Get
trying to help
on
you.
with it.
We used to watch Crocodile Hunter back in the day, and the drinking game was every time he said crikey, you had to take a drink. And yeah,
Crikey.
that was rough. So I think my company would be called the Wayne's Maduro Cigars.
Wayne's Maduros.
Wayne's Maduros. Because that's what they'd all be. Because I don't have that thing where, you got to produce things for other people, not just what you like. I would be just making what I like.
Talk about an ego trip.
Who wants to make cigars you don't want to smoke?
It's fair.
I mean, if I'm going to pay to make them, I should at least like them.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be friendly to the retailers.
It'd be really easy there'd be 3 sizes and one blend.
That'd be pretty easy to get off the ground.
But they would be amazing.
I'm sure they would be. I'd smoke them.
My friend Ryan and I we're growing some tobacco this year.
Really?
Yeah. We've got lots of little plants started, and we're going to grow some tobacco this year. See if we can roll a few of our own.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, obviously, they're not going to be great because, it's hard to find good tobacco growing soil in Topeka, Kansas. But we're going to do the best we can.
Well, how many plants?
Right now, I think he's got 30.
Okay.
Of course, we don't expect them all to survive to maturity, but we're gonna see how it goes. It's kind of a fun little summer project.
Yeah. What variety?
He bought them. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm kind of a passive participant at this point. It'll get more once we get them out and get them growing. But for right now, he started it, and we've got little plants. So
nice.
Trying to grow them without tobacco beetles and other pests is probably the hardest part. But
yeah, it's a lot of maintenance. Use neem oil on them. You have to spray them down with that every 24 hours, but it does a good job of getting rid of the pests, especially the worms. It's a concentrate. You dilute it with water and spray the plants once a day, preferably in the evening. That way the sun's already gone down and you don't run into droplets of water magnifying the sunlight and burning holes in your leaves.
Right.
That's no fun.
So now we've got these cigar companies. We've got them built, and we're making cigars.
Mm-hmm.
How do you decide what you're going to blend? I mean, there are so many.
Yeah.
There's so many things to consider.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have shade grown, sun grown. What varieties, and how do you decide? I mean, obviously, you're gonna have to get some people who know a little bit more about it to help.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think a lot of it would be determined by what's available to you. Because starting out, you're not going to have access to everything you want. So, I mean, first things first, you'd want kind of an in with the industry. And a lot of these guys started with that, with somebody else they knew in the industry who has a factory, has a farm, has a distribution network, whatever it might be. So with that determines what factory you can work with. The factory that you can work with works with certain farms, and they all work with certain factory workers, rollers, master blenders, that sort of thing. So I think a lot of that starting out will be what's available to you. And then within those parameters, that kind of determines what you might want, what you'll be able to produce. So you can, you might have a phenomenal palate, but you've never blended cigars before. So you'll say to the master blender or factory worker or factory owner, I want a bold cigar, I want a medium bodied cigar, and I want a light cigar. Cover all the bases for something that everybody smokes. And then they'll come up with blends and you'll try them, they'll try them. You build up a process of giving feedback and making critiques here and there and adjusting the blends. And after all that is said and done, then you have your product. And then you say, how do we package them? Where do we put, how big should the weed cigar logo be on this box? And then, you might run into, well, now we need to find a new factory to work with to make the boxes. Or who do we outsource to make the bands? Or maybe it's all made in-house. Or maybe you skip all that and you start with bundles, which sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. Then once you have all that in place and you're hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, maybe,
At least.
then you need to get out and sell them.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
I think I'm probably too old to start.
Well, maybe. But that makes me respect these guys even more.
Absolutely.
You know what to do. Because they all face this really an uphill battle.
Mm-hmm.
The cigar community is very friendly and welcoming. But like most industries, it's about who you know. It's time and place. Whether or not they're willing to work with you to get you started on this.
Right,
I know
because they're working. You're going to be competition.
Mm-hmm.
So
Competition, yeah. Or maybe like in Nick from El Mago, he's said in multiple interviews that he's very much open to working with people who want to get into the industry in one way or the other, and helping him out. His factory doors are open. So, yeah.
that's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Not a lot of ego.
Well, this is a solid cigar. It's very nice, very flavorful. If you smoke box presses, sometimes they can be a little tough to keep lit and to keep burning. Sometimes they require a touch up or two just because of the nature of the build. But it has been the first half has definitely been enjoyable.
Does it make you feel like a renegade?
A long time since I felt like a renegade, but I'm enjoying it.
I'm very much enjoying this Oscura. Even burn, good colored ash. Very tasty. Very consistent. It's hitting all the notes. Like a Prince guitar solo.
All the notes.
All the notes. Shout out to Chuck.
I was trying to think if there are any funny stories from the store this week.
Other than a giant TV showing up.
Yeah. If you've never seen a 98-inch TV up close, it's probably good because you should really be about 30 feet away from it to watch it. But it literally is in the box. It's 7 feet wide by 4 feet tall. And I mean, one good thing about it is if you have that split screen and you could put 4 different games on the TV at the same time, you could actually watch them all because they'd all be, you know, on 40-inch TVs.
I don't have the attention span for that.
I don't have the space for it.
Yeah.
To have a 7 foot empty wall in your house, it's that could be a little tricky,
Could always put it on the ceiling.
right? Thought about that. I have tall ceilings, so yeah. But then all your chairs would have to be recliners, so you could lay back and watch it.
Yeah, that would make movie night a little awkward.
Yeah, everybody laying on the floor looking at the ceiling. It is a great raffle prize.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, it definitely gets a lot of attention when people walk into the shop.
Mm-hmm. It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. I think that for me, the $1,000 gift card would be easier to carry around than the 200-pound TV.
I could mount that on my wall easily.
Yeah.
Break in case of emergency.
We have had a lot of shipments come in this week.
Yes.
So we've been able to restock a lot of our cigars that we've been kind of
Mm-hmm.
getting kind of thin on.
Yes. Massive order from Blackbird, Rocky, Drew Estates, Espinosa. Those are all the ones that have showed up so far.
McAuliffe.
McAuliffe, Imami is another one, just showed up on Friday. So yeah, we are well stocked. So.
And we were out of Bovita humidity packs for a little while, but we've got those all restocked too. So if you've been looking for them, we've got them now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Finally.
And I know we don't talk about pipes very much, but the store has a huge selection of pipes, and we've just recently got in a large shipment of pipe tobacco.
Yes.
So we have a lot of new stuff, a lot of restock stuff.
There's some very, very choice pipe tobaccos to pick from. That's all I'm going to say. You got to be here to see them because some of it we don't even have out on the shelf because it's that good. So, yeah.
Well, there's just a lot of stuff here for everybody to come see.
Mm-hmm.
It's
new humidors too. We got some new humidors from quality importers, a few from Prestige as well. So, oh, we got new lighters from Imami, which I know he's already blasted all over social media, but these things are pretty snazzy.
They are.
Triple flame that angles into itself, so it's really like a giant single flame. V cutter built in, punch cutter on the side, and a little narwhal. Or roach clip, whatever you want to call it.
Call it a bougie stick. You put it in your cigar and you can look all bougie when you're smoking.
Mm-hmm. I feel bougie just holding this thing.
Right?
I mean, gold isn't really my color, but I'm starting to like this.
So any closing thoughts, Colin?
Thoughts? I don't really have a lot of those typically.
That's what I've heard.
Our big festival is coming up May 17th. Get your tickets while they're available. They're starting to move pretty quick. So the sooner you can get them, the better. Support the boutique brands because, like we've been talking about this whole time, they put a lot of care, a lot of love into these cigars, and you should support that before STG buys them out.
And just because you've never heard the name before doesn't mean that they're not fantastic cigars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, whenever you visit a humidor, whether it's here at Churchill's or whatever neck of the woods you're in, smoke something that you might look over. Smoke something that you've never heard of. Grab something that maybe doesn't even look like would be something you would like, because you don't know until you try it.
And talk to the tobacconist, because we've tried a lot of things. And sometimes you'll come in and you say, I really like the Rocky Patel 1992. You got anything that's similar? You got anything that's new? You got anything that might enjoy? And we'll be happy to show you some of the things that you might not pick up on your own.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you for joining us again for Cigar Store Confessions. Wayne, thank you for your expertise and your opinions.
I really enjoy being here.
Looking forward to the launch of Weed Cigar Company, grown in Topeka, Kansas. Have a good night, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks.